So Chicago's trying to be like New York. Minneapolis is trying to be Chicago. Fargo's trying to be Minneapolis. Grand Forks is trying to be Fargo.
Okay, yeah. That's
know what
probably
I mean?
true.
Like-
And we're like all like 5 years behind each other. Welcome back to the Mac Podcast. Hey, this is where a podcast, so you're going to unfollow the herd. It's in entrepreneurship, real estate, business, anything you need to know in the entrepreneurial space. And today I have a special guest with me. Guys, he runs a multi-million-dollar electrical company. He started it from scratch. He's been all through the journey of building a company. And we're going to talk a lot about that today. He's also happens to be the funniest guy I know. And he has definitely multiple hobbies that we're going to probably get through today.
Probably way too many.
And we're going to solve some big like world issues, I think, today, Trav.
Good chance.
And I always seem, when I get a conversation with you, we always seem to solve a lot of issues.
Yeah.
So whether it's bush light in hand or whatever the case is.
Yeah, my goal is to solve all the world's problems. So.
Yeah. Well, thanks for jumping on, man.
Yeah,
I
man.
know different people. We live in North Dakota. This is probably not as common to jump on podcasts 2 a week. But I try to shoot 2 a week, and actually I like this. And if you guys like this, make sure you like and subscribe to this channel. Give us a review on Apple Podcast, Spotify, wherever you're on. Share it with somebody that, hey, we're providing you some value. And if it sucked, don't share it with anyone. But if I provide you some value, share it with somebody that can mean something too, can help someone in the space. So, Trav, I want to know, first of all, you're an electrician now.
I am for a long time.
For a long time. And I remember the first times that we met.
Yeah.
I think we were at a house on Cherry Street, maybe like 14, 16. I don't know why this is all coming back to me, and I even know the address maybe. Was it Chestnut? Maybe it was Cherry.
What were their names?
I don't know. Maybe we shouldn't share that, but
no, I
they
know,
were spec.
but it was,
they were building a spec house, pretty much.
It was a spec house. It was me and Jamie, my business partner, and you and one helper, I think.
Yeah,
like that's where it was. I think we wired that whole house for like $7,000 or something like that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I probably poured the basement for like 15 grand.
I know. So stupid. And I mean, obviously the costs of the world have gone up and whatever, but it's...
Well, what is the cost of wiring a house now? It was $7 grand in what, 2010?
With code changes and the price of wire, I mean, it's going to be tough to do it for 20. I mean, you're going to have a real light spec house for 15.
Wow. So it's doubled for sure, plus some.
For sure.
And I just remember when we first met, you were just outgoing. Like when I go to a job site and I'm like focused, I think I was pouring a drive, whatever. Yeah. It's like I'm laser visioned, like what I'm doing.
Well, I was probably hunting you down. You know what I mean? I gotta find some work. Like we just started a business. It's like this guy's got to have some electrical work to do. Like I got to get some work in here. So.
Yeah, and I don't remember if you even knew who I was, or maybe we were from Thompson Connections.
Yeah,
there?
I mean, because we've lived in Thompson since 2008.
Yeah, before I did.
Yeah, I mean, I lived down the street from your mom, which where you guys have your house now, and it's like I don't know. I mean, it's funny how that all came together. 2 random guys in Grand Forks and our kids go to daycare. And
God, you made me laugh like 17, like my abs hurt by the time I just met you. And it's like, you just have that knack about you of like getting into somebody and then making them laugh. Like,
so
that's a gift you have.
That's a double-edged sword though too.
Is it?
You end up being somebody's therapist at least 3 days a week.
You're the bouncing board?
And like sometimes it's just strangers, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're just like, well, how's it going today? And I don't know if I'm easy to talk to or what, but man, I hear people's stories and I'm just like, okay. Like, I don't even know how to respond to half of them, but I don't know. Kind of is what it is. I'm definitely our sales guy for sure.
Yeah, you just have that knack that it's a gifted ability just to connect pretty much with anybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
And really fast. Like you can. It's like, that's a gift.
Yeah.
I struggle with that. It's like we're trying to connect today more forced theory through a podcast, but you can do it out in the real world easily. So, but I want to know, let's talk about your story and like where this began. Cause like, I want to know like how you're an entrepreneur. Like just talk to me, like where are you from even?
So, I mean, do you want business or personal right away?
I want like tell me when you came out of the chute. What was it like?
So I grew up in western North Dakota, a little town called Beulah. It's coal country, coal mines. I worked at a body shop for most of my high school career. Worked for a lot of ranchers.
Is that cash?
Yeah. It was like,
North Dakota way?
$100 a month to go fix fence and move cows and all those things,
That's cool.
And I was working for a guy at a body shop for 2, maybe 3 years, and I'd go help him after school and sand stuff and whatever. It was my senior year, and he's like, "What are you going to school for?" And I was like, "Well, auto body, And he's like, "What are you going to do after college?" I was like, "Well, I'll come back and work here, and then I'll buy you out one day." He's like, "You're not working here." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "This is a terrible life." His words, not mine, right? Like, to preface this, I'm not knocking anybody in auto body by any means.
This is the guy at the body shop?
This is the guy who owns the body shop.
Talking you out of it.
Yep. So Donnie, I don't even know if Donnie's still alive anymore, but so we, I'm like devastated. Like, this is like my plans, right? Like, it's halfway through my senior year.
So he just crushed it.
Yeah. And I'm just like, well, what? I'm just like identity crisis mode, So he goes, and it's like a couple weeks later, he's like, "You still mad at me?" And I was like, "Well, I'm not really sure what I'm doing with my life." And he's like, "What'd you go to school for? I don't know. You like putting stereos in and lights on people's cars." And I'm like, "I don't think they make a car stereo college, Donnie." And he's like, "Well, with wires and stuff." And that's literally how I became an electrician. Like, I was like, "Oh,
no way." From cars?
From working on cars.
So, because he scared the shit out of you?
Well, it was more or less just like, hey, you don't want to be sanding Bondo the rest of your life, and you like putting radios in, like,
wow,
do it. And that's literally how it started. So, and when you're raised around the coal mines and the power plants and stuff like that, you have to go get an associate's degree in order to come back and work power plants. So obviously that's, your goal, good paying jobs,
Gotcha.
Your hometown. And then I met Shannon in Wahpeton, and have never been back.
So
and my parents
was that in college or?
Yep. So I met her our freshman year in college.
So you decided go to college for trade school.
Yep. So I went to college in WAP and graduated with an electrical technology degree. And I don't know, met Shannon and stayed in the valley, and I sure miss hills and all those things. But it is what it is. It's I don't know. It's an odd dynamic because the state is so different. I mean, people in the east are completely different than people in the western part of the state. You know what I mean?
Oh, really?
It's wild. I mean, and I
well,
can't even
tell me the difference between West North Dakota and East North Dakota. Now I'm curious.
It's a lot more hometown out west.
Because Beulah's like in the middle of nowhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you're an hour from Bismarck, an hour from Minot. You know what I mean? So,
so
you're
no man's land
for sure. But yeah, I mean, you're literally in the middle of nowhere, and it's, I don't know, everything's just a little more lackadaisy. There's always tomorrow. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So come out here, and I equate. Here's how I feel. Grand Forks, Fargo, Minneapolis, Chicago are. So Chicago's trying to be like New York. Minneapolis is trying to be Chicago. Fargo's trying to be Minneapolis. Grand Forks is trying to be Fargo.
Okay, yeah. That's
what
probably
I mean?
true.
Like,
and we're like all like 5 years behind each other.
Mm-hmm. And I do think, and I've always said this too about like our community. I love Grand Forks. I love the small town feel, but also the big feel. But it's not Fargo. Like when people are like, well, we're this in Fargo, and then some of that doesn't work here.
Mm-hmm.
And I see it in my business tremendously. I mean, it's so obvious when you go out for lunch in Fargo.
Yeah.
If you're gonna go out to eat, you better have an hour and a half.
Yep.
Restaurants can't even make it in Grand Forks because everybody's still packing bologna sandwiches in their igloo cooler.
Yeah, you're not supporting your local community.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a huge problem in Grand Forks. You know what I mean? And I mean, there's a lot of terrible things that happened with COVID, but yet there was a lot of good. I mean, I have a friend from high school, and they own a few bars downtown, and I mean, to survive COVID, she started this cookie company, and they're just killing it. Like those real good cookies.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
She's just killing it. And it's like, I mean, who would have, and we've had that conversation before, like, who would have ever thought that, know what I mean?
That's what makes it here.
Yeah. I mean, just the oddest things that, and I don't know. It's, Grand Forks is an odd dynamic because you have this hierarchy, right? Like the OGs of this town that it's tough to break into that club, and it's tough to, so then you kind of develop your own club, and they don't really, they don't fight that either. You know what I mean? But it's just, it's crazy. But I mean, you still have, there's some huge companies that have came out of Grand Forks that like the original owners are in their 80s and they're still there every day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's got to progress. If you're not progressive, you're not moving forward.
Yeah,
and if you're not moving forward, you're dying. Yeah,
Yep.
And that's what it's not that our town's dying. I mean, there's a lot of. I did a freaking podcast with Brandon 𝗨𝗨ici𝗹𝗹𝗨, and he's got a lot of firepower to try and stimulate the economy here, because he understands if he stimulates growth, he's going to stimulate jobs.
Right.
And if he stimulates jobs, people are going to be coming here,
Yep,
and they're going to want to move here because the quality of life is pretty high. We live in Thompson, not necessarily Grand Forks, but we have a good quality.
We do.
Of life. Like we can drive golf carts with the beer in hand, and and we appreciate that, right? Like not many towns can get away with that.
Absolutely.
And so that is a thing. And my cousin shared with me, and I want to get back to Donnie a little bit. And just because it kind of intrigues me about my cousin, he had a psychiatrist tell him, hey, he called me, he asked me, hey, Mark, hey, so there's 2 people that made you turn out how you are today.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, all right, whatever. I was like, well, he's like, there's 2 people before you're the age of like, I don't know. I think 10 is what he said, but I think it's just your childhood.
Yeah.
And he's like, they shape who you are today. And he's like, your family's pretty, you grew up in a trailer park. It was, you grew up in Beulah, kind of same story.
Yeah.
You weren't really on the path of like entrepreneurship and like, go get it. Right. Like, so who did I see and who adjusted, our thought process at a young age to say, to me, it was like 𝗨𝗨𝗿𝗱 Electrician. It's like, who's 2 people that you think shaped who you are? If I put you on the spot.
I mean, definitely that, conversation we just had about Donnie. I mean, that was part of it. I think going into the trades, I think it's really easy to dream big. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's like.
But what made you be an entrepreneur? Like, why did you want to go do it? Donnie,
do you want the PG version or do you want the R-rated version?
I mean, just give it to it. It says it is.
Right.
This is real as it
Baby
gets.
boomers.
Yeah. Okay.
Baby boomers made me want to start my own business because, and I mean, this is we're going to go down a whole left wormhole here. But
yeah. Tell me how the baby boomers did.
I mean, that generation is very easy to tell you're not going to do it. It's not going to happen.
They're motivating you.
Well, they're anti-motivating, or they're trying to not motivate you. You know what I mean?
But you're using it as pouring gasoline on your fire.
Yep. If somebody tells me I'm not going to be able to do that, it's getting done. You know what I mean?
I love that. Yeah,
and
that's so true.
So
that's so true.
Yep. And I mean, and not all of them. I mean, I grew up in a household that my dad's a super progressive baby boomer, but I mean, I have family members, I have whatever that it's just like, how do you think this is going to work? It's like, well, just watch.
That's all. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's
you want to prove them wrong. Like that's in your heart.
For sure. And I mean, there's, whether it's naysayers along the way or whatever, but I don't know. I mean, I worked for some good companies in the past when I worked for somebody else. And when I left the last shop that we were all at, I mean, I just told my boss, like, I would go back to work there tomorrow. I mean, I say that loosely because knowing after you own your own business for so long, you're never going to go back to work for somebody. But I mean, they're a great company. They were fantastic. They trained you, they taught you, they whatever. But when I left, I told my boss, I'm like, I don't know that if this is going to work, but I got to try it or I'm going to regret it the rest of my life.
So what made you take that first step? Because I think that's where many people get stuck. There's lots of people who want to and don't.
I think you already have to be doing it. When
so you were on the side?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. We were doing piles of side work. Piles. And I would come home, drop my work truck off, hop in my truck, and go back to work.
Wow.
And I told Jamie, my business partner, I'm like, dude, like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
How are we, let's try it. And he actually was going to go on his own a few years before we went on our own, and the company we worked for talked him into staying. So
what was that conversation like? You met. So who is Jamie? We don't know who Jamie is.
So Jamie is the Dietzler in our company, Dietzler Electric.
It's not Travis Dietzler.
Nope, it's not Travis Dietzler. But there is a Travis Dietzler. And there is a lot of confusion with that.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna change your name.
Yeah, I should. I always tell Jamie that we'll run, Dietzler Electric for a while, and then we'll change it to Johnson Electric. So.
There's no Travis Johnsons in the world anyway.
Yeah. There's only 1 million of them. It's really cool. There's like 5 in Grand Forks alone.
I know. Yeah. No, inside joke. So what did you guys do? Where were you sitting? How did this transpire?
He stopped up at a job site that we were working on, and I was a foreman. He was actually my project manager at a company we worked for. And, we get to talking, and I'm just like, what's the worst that can happen? And I think about that now, and I'm like, I was 24, had a new baby, had a mortgage.
Oh, you had stuff to lose
health
then.
Insurance. Yeah.
It gets harder as you get the stuff.
For sure. And I'm just like, let's do it. I don't know why, because I'm an analyzer. Like, I mean, I am 100% ADHD, 100%.
Like analysis paralysis is real.
But I overthink things. You know what I mean? I have buyer's remorse. I have all those things. You know what I mean? Never was starting my business. It is the oddest thing. And I think it was just because it was a dream. I grew up in a household that my dad could have very, very easily, my dad runs nursing homes. He could have somehow started a nursing home along the way, but, he had 4 kids and we didn't have a whole lot. And it was like, I had this goal and aspiration to have something of my own or to build something or whatever, and there's days when days get long and I come home and Shan asks how my day was. And I'm like, well, it is what it is, when you have those days. And she's like, that you are living your dream though, right? And I'm like, yep, I am.
As you got 3 phone calls coming in.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't really stop, especially on the service aspect of things. I mean, we get texts and calls all the time. And some of them, there's times we go out at 3 o'clock in the morning if there's a power outage or, because some of our customers, whether it's, we just had an issue at FedEx ground in Grand Forks and they were tripping their main breaker right before Christmas. And it's like that. I mean, you can shut down the whole eastern part of the state if that facility's not running.
That's insane.
Those things are...
It's real.
Those things are priority for
sure. When you told Jamie, I'm just curious now, and maybe the listener would be, because you were at the point of committing.
Yeah.
And that's usually like the first step of like going in to be an entrepreneur.
Yep.
You're like, I'm all in. Let's freaking do it. And so Jamie at that point was like,
me and Jamie are super like-minded. And I mean, he left my job trailer that day and he's like, don't even get me started thinking on this. And I got a text message that night, I think, at like 1 o'clock in the morning. And he's like, we should have a beer tomorrow. And that was it.
So did you convince him or you just said, I'm doing this?
No, we met at his house and kind of talked about it. And, so Dietzler Electric was already set up. And so how it works in the electrical world is if when you get your master's license and you have to activate it with the state of North Dakota. Well, you have to have insurance and contractor's license.
Yeah.
Well, you're never going to have that unless you're doing work, right?
Gotcha.
You're never going to pay for those expenses because some guys have an inactive master's license that they just carry and they can do electrical work for somebody else. Right?
Oh, got it. They don't need to carry the master's.
Exactly. So they still have their master's license. It's just not activated to run your own business. Well, when Jamie was going to quit the first time, it was activated, and he never deactivated it. So we were doing side jobs legally.
Underneath that business.
Yeah.
So the LLC was opened. We got a checking account. We're running it.
We kind of talked about the name change, and it never really bothered me. And I just said, let's spend $2,500 on a scissor lift rather than changing the name. And so we did a partnership with a lawyer for a couple $100, and we went to work. So... I mean, that's kind of the history of our company, and that was 10 years ago now. 10 years ago, 1st of April. So,
wow,
it's been a wild ride. It's I would have never believed in 10 years that we would have done some of the projects. It's cool. And I mean, you guys are saying this too. We're about the same age company, but I don't know. You see TikToks and Facebook videos and stuff, and it's like, well, driving around with your dad, that's a contractor or whatever, you know, and it's like, yeah, we did those and we did that. I mean, when I was in my early 20s, I was in Bismarck, and it's like, I still like go through intersections. I'm like, hey guys, do you know that? And they're like, yeah, you hung all these traffic signal lights, like yada, yada.
Yeah,
like, okay, well, I just thought I'd remind you.
Yeah,
you know?
it fulfills us though when we see it, and my kids are like, whatever.
Yeah,
and it is what it is. So when you guys decided then this is a go, I mean, was it 2 weeks and you're on your own, or
I was pretty heavily involved in a pretty good sized project that I didn't want to leave
hanging.
Yeah, I didn't want to put my past employer in a tough spot or make bad blood, you know, because you never know.
No,
you don't know if your business is going to work, right? So if there's anybody out there that's going to start a business, don't burn a bridge on the way out.
I always tell people, do not mix business with personal. If I don't use your business for something, like, keep the blood good on the business side, but like, don't make personal issues. Don't mix them. Like, it's just, it is not worth it. And you will have bad blood with somebody to the end of the day.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And life is way too short. I mean, the older I get, I don't even get mad anymore. I get irritated for sure. But,
I get irritated.
I mean, we have 5 kids, and I mean, there's the stress level is, I mean, it's almost to a point where it's like, well, it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
You know, I'm not, you know, my kids are parented, and we'll get on that subject too, but you know, they're kind of on a free range living, you know?
Right.
If they're not getting hurt or hurting somebody and they're not being mean, I don't really care what they're doing.
Right.
This is what it is. Well, and if they're not being a bully and they're, you know, ending people that are bullies, you know, I have an 11-year-old and she's tough, man. She's a badass.
Yeah.
You know, and our 20-year-old, she's also a badass, and they don't put up with that shit. They don't put up with bullies.
Right.
They don't put up with, you know what I mean? Hads will put somebody up against the locker if she needs to. Like, she don't care.
You got some strong-willed kids, and maybe we should talk at the end. I want to kind of talk about where you're going, but we'll save that to the end and how you're planning to grow.
Yeah.
But I want to dive into, I think with your kids, you're 10 years into the business, which things are maybe a little easier than they were at year 1. But you got 5 kids. How, you know, and
you know, there's struggles. I mean,
how do you balance that a little bit?
A boss, like she is. My wife runs her own business, and I mean, she's busy in her lab. She makes dentures and partials for a bunch of different dental offices in the area, and she's running kids. I mean, she does 90% of the kids stuff.
Gotcha.
She does daycare, drop-offs, pickups, appointments, therapies. Our family dynamic's a little odd compared to most. We have 2 kids that we had biologically. We adopted our oldest and our youngest daughter, and we're actively trying to adopt our little guy, Ace, through foster care. So we were not trailblazers. We're going to save the world.
Yep.
You know, we adopted 2 of Shannon's cousins' kids, which is kind of cool. Our 20-year-old was actually the flower girl in our wedding.
Oh, yeah,
so it's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
You know, I mean, we were a part of her life before they moved to Texas, and then they came back, and, you know, so we were able to get involved that way. But, so yeah, it's, there's some odd dynamics in our household and lots of conversations and kid stuff. And
5 kids.
Never in a million years would I have thought, you know, even, 6 years ago now, I mean, we were the epitome of 2 kids and a white picket fence and a dog, you know, and now it's 5 kids and
there's no chaos there. Just tell
none.
me.
Now we got 2 dogs and Cece just got a cat and, you know, just all the things. It's just
I think of one guy I remember. I mean, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, we were talking. You know, it's like I'm done having kids.
Yeah,
done, you know, and you went into the foster not maybe by want or need, like you said, you weren't. I
say
it's
by accident, but it's designed by definitely a higher power, right?
Yeah.
I mean, our family dynamic is so hilarious because, you know, anytime, you know, even so Ace, we'll use Ace as an example. Ace was supposed to be at our house for the weekend. Grand Forks
For the
County
weekend.
called. Yeah, we were letting our license expire. We were done. We adopted the girls. It was finally done. It was 4 years of fighting. It was hell.
They gave you one last call.
Well, so they called Shan on a Friday, and they're like, "Hey, Grand Forks PD found this little guy playing on the road with no clothes on. Like, could you just take him for the weekend?" And Shan's like, "Actually, we're home, so yeah, no, we can take him for the weekend."
Jeez.
And Shan's only fault is that she cannot say no. She cannot say no to anyone. You know what I mean? If the neighbor wants their driveway shoveled, they could just ask Shannon. Shannon will be like,
well, now that I know this.
Why would you be out there shoveling? Well, I don't know. They asked. And I'm like, tell them no. Tell them no.
Yeah.
But also an amazing quality in a partner and a human.
Right.
So it's like Wednesday, and I'm driving from job site to job site, and I call her, and I'm like, what's going on with this like kid? Like this little guy? Like, what are we doing?
Well, they didn't call back.
No.
Or they didn't come pick him up
man.
After Monday morning. They don't come at 8 a.m.
That is not how that
Here's
works.
the miracle minivan.
Yep. So she calls them, and they're like, "Oh, hoping it's Wednesday. Is there any way you can take him for another weekend?" And Shan's like, "Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, yep. No, that's no big." And he's an awesome kid. Like he's one of ours now. We've had him for 2 years, right? And so that leads to the next story. I mean, we've had him for 2 years, and we're trying to adopt him and hoping to get to that point. But I mean, it's a battle, and it's an emotional roller coaster, and it's when
well, he's a 2.5, 3-year-old boy. I mean,
4 now.
4 now. Yeah. Geez, yeah. It's like my gosh.
5 next.
You got him at like
December.
2.5 or 3 though.
Got him when he was 2. Yep.
2. It's like wow.
So I mean, it's a crazy world to see on the foster side. I mean, we live in a world that we don't see that side of the world very often.
No.
You know what I mean? And we don't, thankfully. There's times in your life that you kind of grew up in that world, and times in my life that I kind of grew up in that world. And it's I don't know. I mean, to see it now and in this scale, I mean, it's awful. I mean, if there's anybody that's thinking about fostering, just rip the Band-Aid off and go do it. Because I mean,
there you go.
Things are changing with that too. I mean, it's tough to fight and not know what tomorrow's going to bring. And yeah, we have conversations, when Shan's losing her mind and I'm losing my mind, and it's like, you have to look at the big picture. You can't look at what's going on today.
Right.
Do you want to have this kid's graduation party?
Yeah.
Because you do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right. Absolutely.
You don't want to fight another year for this shit, but like you want him forever. You want him, you know what I mean?
Get accustomed to these.
Yeah. Yep, for sure. So I don't know. It's an odd dynamic. But it's cool. I mean, I would never change it. We are done though. We are done with kids.
Shannon doesn't answer the phone anymore when it's that number?
Shan likes to tell everybody that we have kids, and they're like, "Oh, well, what are their ages?" And she's like, "Well, I have one that can get pregnant and one that still wets the bed. So, and everything in between."
This is like, that's, well, you have a kind of, I think where this whole story goes is that you have a multi-million-dollar electrical company now. Mm-hmm. Your wife always has a business as well, and watching 5 kids now. Like, anyone can foster. Everyone has that excuse.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have enough time.
Yeah.
Well, you're making time. And I know you don't have a perfect work-life balance. The phone doesn't hit the counter at 5 and you leave it in pickup overnight like our dads did. And you'll just get it in the morning.
How great would that be, though? How freaking great would that be?
There's a mode called Focus on my phone. It's now my favorite mode. And now I officially know that I'm old. And, but it would be good. And I'm not a believer in work-life balance. I'm just not. Like, I don't think you just, as an entrepreneur, the world doesn't stop at 5 and then begin at 8. Our world goes till as soon as our head hits the pillow, and when we wake up, that's when life begins. I love both things I do. You love servicing people.
Yep.
You love your service calls, and you love your kids.
Yep.
You can mix them. You can.
Yep. Well, and there's overlap in that life, right?
Right.
I mean, I was just at Northdale's office the other day looking at some lights with the boys in the shop, and Tabor was home because he had strep throat. And all of a sudden, there's Tabor. I like left him in the pickup. There's Tabor, and Scott's like, "Hey, what's up, buddy?" I was like, "Hey," you know. But it's just like Tabor he's 7 and he's ready to be 20. And
oh, okay,
like he's done. Like he will not go to college. Maybe things will change through high school, but every day he's like,
he's spinning wire nuts already.
Can I be done? Can I? And I'm like, no, it's the law. You have to stay in school.
Actually, you're a little too young.
Yeah, you have to stay in school. He's like, oh.
Yeah. But school's changing too, man. They're right in front of our eyes.
Yeah, it's I don't know. And speaking of schools, I went and talked to Grand Forks Central High School. Talked to, I don't know how many class periods I talked to. 3, 4 of them. 100 and some kids. Not one of them was wearing jeans.
Sweatpants or what?
Sweatpants, man.
Yoga or whatever they call them.
So that's an issue that we have coming, and we will definitely hit on that too. But these kids haven't left their pajamas, and we're supposed to give them steel toe boots next year and be like, "You're gonna love her here, there, pal."
Yeah. So you were talking to that. What are you talking to them specifically about? Entrepreneurship or?
Yeah, no, becoming an electrician and joining the trades.
Okay,
you know what I mean. So just and I tell them, and the teacher Paul Strandy, he's from Thompson too. He's like, "I'll get calls when you leave." He goes, "Not when anybody else does." But I like make them raise their hand. I'm like, "Who's going to college next year?" Well, most of the room raises their hand, but half of them don't know for what. And I'm like, "Go work for a plumber.
Yeah.
Go work for an HVAC shop.
Yeah.
Go pour concrete. Go frame houses.
Why?
Go do something to a point where, like, for one, you can fix something on your own on the weekend. Right?
Yeah.
Like, if you go work for a plumber for a year, you're going to be able to set a toilet by yourself on a Sunday.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
Right. But then also, here's my favorite part of being an electrician. The places we get to go. The shit I've seen, man. I put all new scoreboards at Georgia Tech's football stadium.
Oh, yeah.
I've been up in the catwalks, the 𝗨𝗲𝗍 Center, the Ralph Engelstad.
Yeah.
The backdoor closets to the studio booths to the...
Yeah.
all the way to, rich people's houses moving their master beds so we can fix an outlet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like seeing how people live and seeing how, you know what I mean? And granted, with that, there's a lot of things you don't really want to work in, conditions you don't want to work in, whether it's, dusty, dirty old basement that's full of water or salamanders or mice, or, we do tons of grain handling work and tons of grain elevator stuff and fertilizer plant stuff. But that stuff's cool too. To walk away from a job that's 200 feet in the air and you built it from the ground up.
Yeah, that's fun.
I don't know. Those are cool jobs.
I want to talk about, so these kids, why wouldn't they want to enjoy that experience? But these kids in the room, you said specifically, they don't even know what they raise their hand for.
Yeah.
They just raise their hand because, is that being normal? Mm-hmm. Why did they raise their hand if they said...
Well, they're going to college, but they don't know for what.
And why do they do that?
That's what they're told to do.
Is that just society?
That's what they're told to do. I had a guidance counselor in high school, and she asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up. And at first, I was like, well, a firefighter would be cool. And she's like, okay, no, but for real. And I was like, well, either chiropractor or an electrician. She goes, well, you got to be smart to do both of those. I was like, okay, sounds good.
My GPA is not good?
Yeah, and it wasn't. And I tell my guys that all the time. I just told a guy there yesterday. I was like, what was your GPA, high school and college? He's like, 3.8. And I was like, you can do this.
Yeah, you can do this.
You can do this.
Yeah.
I was a CD student.
Oh, I was a 2.4. I struggled in the business.
Yeah, yeah. But it's just like I have to give guys pep talks because they're unsure of themselves, And it's like your IQ level's far greater than mine. Far greater than mine. You're going to be able to do this. Don't get so discouraged. It ain't going to come easy. It never does.
Right.
I think back, and it's fun to watch these younger guys come in, and the first conduit you've been, I kind of buffaloed my way onto a commercial job site when I was in my early 20s, and all I'd really done was some residential work. And it was like, can you bend conduit? And I was like, yeah, man.
Let's roll.
Yeah, no problem. And after I was like, yeah, I'll take the job. I stopped at Menards and grabbed a 1/2-inch conduit bender and a bundle of pipe, and I went home and bent conduit in my rental house's garage.
Wow.
For the weekend.
That's crazy.
And it's like, but that's also a trait that's lost, you know? I mean, the demographic of employees, you know, and I'm fine with teaching, but I want retention too, right? Like I want them to want it.
Commit, yeah.
I'll teach somebody something 3, 4, 5 times. I don't care, as long as I know that they want to learn it. Right?
Yep. Yeah, you can't teach somebody that's not willing to be coachable or learn it themselves.
Yeah.
If they don't want it, then there's no you're wasting your time, like you said.
And you see a lot of that. I mean, you do. You see a lot of guys that they just don't want it. They've never had to have it.
Yeah.
They've never had to want anything.
Well, I think this is a good place, like, because these kids are our electricians in the future. The kids you're talking to, there are blue collar jobs that need to get fulfilled because everyone thought in society that the blue collar jobs are going to get replaced. But it actually is working backwards with like AI technology and all that. All the people going to school for these high, you know, tech jobs and business jobs, they're actually losing their jobs. Their jobs are getting replaced with machines. And we're actually in a blue collar service industry that's struggling. And it's because they're not teaching it enough. They're not promoting it enough.
And I do think the money's starting to change. I just talked to a good buddy of mine. He lives in Omaha, and his son went to an Ivy League college, master's degree.
Wow.
And he's framing houses.
Dude, I literally was hiring an EA, and there's MBAs getting hired for this position for an executive assistant job. Like, so you're making more money as a concrete guy or as an electrician. We're biased by those trades, by the way. But these guys are making decent amounts of money, whereas you go be a teacher, you're $56,000 to $70,000 a year.
Well, and what I'm starting to see, even with my own kids, is they're getting older with 𝗨𝗿𝗍𝗶 and 𝗨𝗨𝗍cie. They struggle with me and Shannon's freedom, right? Like they're looking kind of down the barrel of their future, and they're like,
oh, they don't. They like what you're doing.
Well, 𝗨𝗍𝗍's always been, I want to be a doctor or a lawyer. Well, now she's like completely off the doctor train. She's going to be a lawyer. Because she knows that she's not going to be in the same spot every day.
Yeah.
She knows that she can have her own lawyer office. And, you know, who knows?
Right.
Who knows where this is going to end? She's 11, right? Almost 12. But, you know, Lex is the same way. She's going to school to be a social worker, but now she's kind of taking some pre-law courses and stuff like that. And we'll kind of see where that is because you can't really have your own business as a social worker.
Yeah. Well, don't get me wrong, I think doctors need to go to educate.
Absolutely.
Like, I'm not saying a doctor shouldn't go to college.
Absolutely.
But can you do it in a shorter amount of time if it was more technical? Because I failed in business, or not fail. I mean, I couldn't even stay in the program if I didn't get A's. Because I couldn't maintain a 2.5% average. But I do outstanding in business today. I think in legal, like if it was legal or doctor, there's a lot of upside potential because in legal work, you're learning negotiation.
Absolutely.
And you can win a lot of power in negotiations. Life is a negotiation.
Absolutely.
You know, and in the doctor work, unfortunately, it's kind of complacency. It's like, I'm going to do this amount of surgeries a week. I'm going to do this till I'm 80.
T's crossed, I's dotted. Here we are. You know, and here's the thing, everybody's different, right? Like I would never have made it as a doctor. I would have never. I mean, that was my deciding factor between chiropractor and electrician.
Okay.
I didn't want to go to 8 years of college. Now, my best grades, obviously not my first semester. They were not good grades. I was Party Town USA.
Bush lights and
for
women.
sure. But the rest of my college education, that was the best grades I've had my whole life. But I could apply it.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I could apply it. And
You're interested.
Wahpeton did a great job of like, we're not teaching you shit that you don't need. We're not like, we're working on trig because electrical theory is based around trigonometry. You're not taking an algebra.
Right.
You're freaking doing trig. That's what you're doing because algebra has nothing to do with electricity.
What does algebra really have to do with anything that my calculator can't do in an hour?
No.
Or, you know, it's like my TI-83 Plus I've had for 14 years, still sold at Walmart today. That thing can solve pretty much the world's issues right on it. And I use addition and subtraction, division, multiplication. That's it.
Yep.
Move on.
For sure.
I can pretty much run any deal.
I like that Facebook meme. It's a picture of your phone, and it's like when that teacher said you're not always going to have a calculator in your pocket.
Well, I mean, back in our day, for sure.
Right. But I mean, don't you remember hearing that second and third grade, and you're like, can we use our calculators?
Yeah. I could get this done really quickly with that sucker.
Exactly.
No, you need to learn the long version. Whatever.
The word problems, those are the worst.
Yeah. Well, let's stay in that jobs area, because I think, like, how do we solve this then going forward? How have you helped, like, overcome?
I do think that there's we're on the cusp of a huge supply and demand issue, and I think it's going to create more value in a tradesperson than there has ever been. And I don't think, honestly, I don't know that it's even solvable. Like, I don't know that there's a solution that can happen on this, and here's why. For one, it's hard work, right? Like, it's working with your hands. It's in the sun. It's 100 degrees outside. It's in somebody's attic. It's in somebody's dirty-ass basement. It's climbing ladders. It's whatever, right? Like, it's hard work. Item number one. If you have a brain, you're intelligent, and you're not afraid of hard work, you're going to be making more than doctors and lawyers. And I don't care what anybody says. And I've had this conversation with doctors and lawyers and engineers, and every one of them says, well, what's wrong with that then?
Yeah.
Is there anything wrong with somebody that's an electrician or a plumber making as much as a doctor?
No.
As a lawyer? No.
It's likely to keep even twisting harder.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's just proof the kids are in sweatpants. They're not even interested in
and those are the kids. Like, that's what's left, man. Those are the shop class kids.
Chase.
You know what I mean? It's not like I was at a college algebra class. You know what I mean? Like, I was in shop class, right? Man. Like, these are the only guys that might work with their hands, right? And there was no girls in there, and I wish there would have, because it's like, if there was an option to have a couple girl electricians, that would be badass. Like, I would love that. I mean, I am a dad of 3 girls, and girls are badasses. You got 2 yourself, and it's like, I don't know, if there was a girl electrician looking for a job. I mean, I've tried to hire one. She's in Wyoming, and I don't know if they'll ever come back, but I don't know. She's just a badass, runs jobs and just deals with it. Right. You know? It's like,
well, let's put that some perspective real quick. That, let's say the average, you can make $18 at a gas station basically at this point, right? Like, you can't just replace the human, the blue collar job.
Yep.
How much money does it cost me to go be an electrician?
$0.
So, and what would my income change from $18 an hour?
Yeah. And so here's how it works. I mean,
in the very beginning,
start our, like, green guy walks in the door tomorrow. He's 18,
the gas station
$20
kid.
An hour.
Yep.
I mean, it's going to be a lateral move from
eager.
The gas station, right? Like, but within 4 years, he will very easily, at this point in time, and this is the number that I think is going to dramatically change in the future. He'll be making, within 4 years, if he can run a job and run guys, he'll be making $30, $35 an hour.
4 years.
4 years.
And what is he making? A lateral move, meaning he'd get paid about the same. Mm-hmm. He's getting free education, though.
Yep. So
you're going to deliver?
It's a state law. You have to go to schooling for 4 years. It's 570 credit hours. It's over a 4-year span.
Do I need to go to college to do that?
No. So there's a organization in town that our guys go to. It's 1 night class a week during the school year.
Wow.
And they go there. It's super reasonably priced. We pay for half of it. I think they might have $400 a year in it.
Right.
What?
Yeah.
You know.
So $0 you can accelerate, because when you go to 4 years of college, you're not guaranteed a $35 an hour. Like, pretty much he's guaranteed work.
Well, and on top of that, it's not just the $35 an hour, like 35 to 40 or whatever that number looks like.
Yeah.
These guys are taking trucks home.
Yeah.
They don't have payments. They don't, you know what I mean? If they stop and get groceries on the way home, or, you know, I've had guys call me and they're like, hey, do you mind if I take my truck to the lake? My wife already took the van. It's like, no, it's fine.
Right.
So it's like, you have those perks. Plus, you know, we have great health insurance. We match retirements, like all of those like things that you have to have employees, right? Like I don't even, you can call them benefits.
That wasn't common though in our business 10 years ago.
No,
when we first started, you didn't get.
No,
you're lucky you get paid, and it's not 1099.
I mean, I remember looking for jobs out of college that I was like, well, do they have health insurance? Like, because I have to have health insurance. Like, I have asthma.
Yep.
So it's like, well, do they have health insurance because I need my asthma medicine? You know what I mean? So
Right.
it's like, that's not even you would not have any guys if you don't have health insurance. You know what I mean?
Right, absolutely.
Just is what it is. So, I don't know. I mean, it's, and then when you become the guy at the top of the list for your employer, you know, I mean, you're going to get treated well. You know, there's perks along the way. There's going to be, you know, things along the way. There's going to be, you know, you're going to be the guy with the newer truck in the lot. You're going to be the, you know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know.
So what do top tier electricians make? Say now I'm at year 4, I'm going to get $30 to $35 an hour. I'm going to probably jump.
I mean, there's a lot of guys out
another
there.
4 years in. I'm committed.
Yeah.
I'm working for you.
You're going to be making $100,000 or more.
Wow.
Easily.
So in 8 years, you're going to be at least 100+ thousand. And you're getting
if you want it, right? So I don't want this to be confused with somebody watching this. It's like, well, he said I was going to make $100,000 if I stay here for 8 years. Well, no, you got to want it, right? Like, you know, our project manager, I mean, he makes great money, you know, and he's worth every penny of it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And my goal for him is for him to continue to make himself a huge asset in our company, and for him to drive his own price. Right? Like that's what I want for him.
Yep.
And I tell all my guys, I want you to be the highest paid guy here. I want you to have the nicest pickup.
So how do they do that? What you know, I have my own theories on this,
they gotta, here's my thing. It's tough to get them all, not, and I'm not, you know, picking on one or the other. It's like, they're never gonna care like me or Jamie or you. They're not.
Yeah.
They're not. They can tell you that they are, but they don't have the skin in the game, right? What I want out of them, I want honesty. Like that's a huge thing, man. Like, I'm gonna scratch your back till my freaking fingers bleed.
Gotcha.
Make sure you're doing the same to me.
Got it.
You know what I mean? Be honest with me.
Right.
Be fair with me. Don't try and screw me over. You know what I mean? And if you got to go get your kids at 3:00 in the afternoon, I don't care.
I don't care. Yeah, about that.
You know, and I think that's where it's changing from where we were all raised in the trades, where it's like 7 to 5:30. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, that's it. 7 to 5:30. We're in the trades. That's not going to keep employees. That's not going to drive the market of wanting employees. You know, and I mean, we have huge turnover. We do, and we talked about that before we turned the cameras on. We have huge turnovers because of this reason. Well, for one, every electrical contractor has huge turnovers.
Yeah.
It's not an easy life. It's, you know, it's hard work. You're on ladders, but you can work your way up at any business to not be the guy on the ladder, to not be the guy twisting the wire nuts. But right now in our company, me personally, I have a couple older guys that are assets that cannot be replaced. You know, just the old school stuff, just the brain power or the customer service or the, you know, they just do it like America's used to. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Boomers. You don't have to give them cupcakes at the end of work.
For sure. And they, you know, they're going to be there. They're going to be there.
Right.
And they're, you know, they're great with customers. And it, you know, that's what keeps me up at night. It's like, what are we going to do without them guys?
Yeah.
You know, the younger guys are also fantastic, but they're always looking. And that's the awful part.
Right.
You know,
there's no loyalty.
You get a guy that's in his 20s or in his 30s, you know, and he can latch onto a job. And we've lost guys to go be a state electrical inspector or to go work at the air base or to go, you know, jobs that an independent contractor could never compete with.
Right.
I can't compete with the state pension or federal pension and
full
family health insurance. And
I
would love to.
Yeah.
I would love to. I tell my guys, and they know it. Like, if I could pay all of my guys $100 an hour and full family, I would. But that's not the work we do. That's not the work world we live in, you know?
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's, I don't know.
The young guys always want the opportunity. Like at my company we have concrete guys. I wouldn't say it's the same as electricians, but it's, you can go anywhere and get a job, right? Like if you're good at what you do, but I need to continually give them an opportunity to rise up.
Yeah.
If I give them the opportunities, the ones that want it, they'll somehow figure out a way to increase their skills to get it.
Yeah.
And the ones that don't want it will taper off, because I try to build a culture that you got to lift yourself up. Like we're here, we want to go way up here. And the weak ones die out because they stop increasing their skills. They stop,
for sure,
trying to be more efficient. They just stop trying to keep being better every day. And in small business, that's definitely like a game changer for us. That's why people stay with me. I have very low turnover. For that reason, in electrician world, I just like to hear, it's like these project managers, how you keep these guys without just saying, hey, you know what? I'm just going to go apply for my license because I'm probably doing side work anyway.
And I think that's changing too. I don't think a lot of guys, I mean, I know for a fact our project manager does not want our life. Plain and simple.
Doesn't like the business side.
Well, I mean, he just, like, it's just a lot.
Yeah.
And he sees numbers at the end of the year and he's like, we did all that shit for that?
Yeah.
I'm like, yep, better luck next year.
Yeah.
And that's all you can do sometimes. But it's just like, it's, I mean, I hope, our project manager, I hope he sticks around forever, Will he? I don't know. I mean, I hope so. But, it kind of is what it is. But it's, to build a group for us, it's really, really, really hard because you're so distracted with putting it all in with your hands, right? And that's our problem. We'll do a couple, maybe $3 million worth of work a year, but that's a super small dollar amount because we have to install it all with our hands. Right?
Labor.
Yeah, we don't have these big, take your business or your sales compared to my sales. Well, you guys just sell more stuff, right? Like entire building projects, or you look at the contracts of a job. Well, we're 10% of the whole job. Yeah, and then our profit margins are already lower at the beginning of that. You know what I mean? But that's the world that we live in, and it's like, so it's and it's fun to like watch guys like kind of have the aha moment, because I think all employees, if you own your own business, like you're the rich guy in the room, right?
Oh,
like
yeah.
𝗨හි𝗳cie𝗹𝗹liche from Structures says it right. He's so funny. He goes, well, we all drive 3/4 ton diesel pickups so we can haul all our money to the bank. Just ask the boys. And I mean, that's the figment of every business owner. That's what I thought when, I didn't have a business. That's what, but the cruel reality of it is it's awful. Like it's the day-to-day and keeping it all on track and the size of company that our business is. It's like we have to float enough overhead that we could probably run 30 guys, but we can't find that amount of work.
Oh,
right.
Gotcha.
So it's
kind of restricted where we live.
Yeah, it takes, and that's what it is. The clientele of where we're at. And I think about that, we'll go to Florida in the wintertime and go for a week with the kids. And I look around, I'm like, I could have like a 2-man shop down here and just be crushing it. Yeah. Because there's more dollars per capita. You know what I mean?
Oh, bro. I go to all these places on vacation. He's like, it's not a work problem. He's like, I can't even look at all the stuff. Mm-hmm. And he's like, we're getting crazy margins. Mm-hmm. And he's like, it's a people problem.
For sure.
And up here, we got problems on both ends. Mm-hmm. It's keeping really good people, but also keeping really good people busy is our fear, right?
Well, and half of it is we're fighting against Mother Nature.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, we started digging last week. I mean, we had to. Yeah. We got to start going. Like, it's April.
Yeah, we're mid-April, and the ground is, there's still snowbanks out there taller than me. Yep. So,
and I don't know. It's that dynamic, and I think that's why we're tough, right? Like, we grew up, especially coming from the Midwest, and you go to college and got professors and instructors that are like, I mean, you guys can go anywhere. You're from North Dakota. Yeah. Oh, well, that's a real thing. Yeah. That's a real thing, man. Like, we live in hell up here. Like the tundra, the frozen tundra of doom. Like it's not easy to, you know, and I've had this conversation with tons of guys that, could you imagine? I mean, like we kill it the summertime.
Yeah.
Kill it. I'm not hiding that fact from anybody. Mm-hmm. We die in the wintertime. We hemorrhage in the wintertime.
We do.
And there's nothing you can do about it.
No.
And the second you like start embracing that and you're like, this is where we are, I think that's where you have, but it takes time because you're in denial the first at least 7 years of your business. You are. You're like,
well, why don't you?
What am I doing wrong?
Why don't you park it, ship it to Kansas City?
Yeah, I mean, I should, but I can't hardly get people to drive 45 minutes to go to work. You know what I mean? When our service area is so big, and I don't know, I just got a call yesterday for some work south of the Canadian border, you know, north of Devil's Lake.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm going to have to go do it myself.
Okay.
Like,
no one
period.
will go.
Well, I mean, for one, I'm like our grain guy, right? Like I know grain probably more than anybody at our whole business and how it moves and how it needs to move and, you know, what it takes for it to happen. And yeah, I mean, and it's a huge customer that they're just like, just do it.
Right.
Well, how do you say no to that?
Yeah.
How do you say no to that?
Yeah. That's that's a niche. Riches in the niches, you know, if you can be really skilled at helping the farm.
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge need. These local private farmers are building their own little elevators. Basically,
and I have to have conversations with farmers after we leave their bin sites. And I'm just like, hey, you're no longer a bin site anymore. Like, you're a full-blown industrial facility. So care for it.
Service it.
You know?
Maintain it.
Make sure and some of them I don't have to have that conversation with.
Oh.
Some of them I do. I'm like, dude, you got to make sure all the grain's out of the bottom of these legs. You got to make sure your conveyors are all cleaned out at the end of the year because there's a few that they call me and they're like, motor won't start.
Yeah.
I'm like, is it plugged? Nope, can't be. And I'm like, okay. And I get out there and sure enough, it's plugged solid because nobody cleaned it out last fall.
Yeah.
You know, and it just is what it is. But it's, you know, where we live, that is where the money is. That's what drives it, right?
Yeah.
I grew up in coal country and now it's oil country and coal country, but you know, that's what's driving the force in the western part of this state. But like the farmers around here are what drives us, and they're so important. They're such a huge vital, and people don't understand it. I mean, people grumble around here, well, these farmers, and no, there would not be an eastern part of the state worth living if it wasn't for these farmers and what they spend in the community. What they do all their business locally. All of that money sticks around here.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And it's like,
they are good.
I mean,
when they do good, we do good.
Absolutely.
The economy is driven that way.
Absolutely. And I hope, you know, the world's got some scary stuff going on in it, whether it's, you know, the US dollar not being traded for oil and things like that, and all of that stuff being talked about. And I mean, I hope and pray that we're a little more insulated here, you know, with just North Dakota and oil and farming, and like I do think that, I mean, North Dakota will be just fine in all of this. I do.
It's a good state to invest in. Not enough people give it that. The quality of life here is pretty high compared to others. It's just your crime is low, your doors are unlocked, and the keys are in the car. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's just how we live. Mm-hmm. And it is a good place. So where are you guys going now? Where's Dietzler getting driven to?
So, I mean, this is our kind of our spot, you know, 10 to 12, maybe ramp up to 14, 15 guys in the summertime just for, you know, increased help. And, but, you know, we're kind of at that last year going into fall. I was pretty doom and gloom just about the state of the trades in general.
Gotcha.
Not just our company, but just all of it
in general.
You know, just what are we going to do about this manpower issue, right? You can have all the work in the world, but if you don't have anybody to get it done, you know. And I was kind of whining and crying to a buddy of mine down in Fargo, and he just said, I'm looking at it completely different. He's like, I feel like if we teach our kids to have brains and be good people, he's like, they're going to charge whatever they want.
You will. I mean,
and they will.
Very likely.
Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. I think, I do think it's changing. I mean, I'm feeling it this year more than ever. I mean, I have never, like I told you earlier, I've never had a spring like this. and the phone is just ringing. My phone rings like that in the fall. This is what it is, because we're racing against Mother Nature, and we're dealing with harvest, and we're dealing with elevators, and we're dealing with fertilizer, and we're dealing with trying to get all the groundwork done for winter projects.
Oh, okay.
But then we're also trying to finalize the summer projects, and then usually there's a school project somewhere that needs to be finalized by the end of August, and so like fall is terrible.
Yeah,
terrible. But that's how this spring's starting, and I'm just like, holy moly! Like,
so you might be up to 15, 16. I mean, if it continues.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I don't know. Kind of
the farmers did well.
Yeah.
So the phones.
Yeah, and I mean, it's
ringing?
not all farm stuff. We got some, whether it's commercial buildings or things like that, and there's a few irons in the fire we're trying to get to stick.
Cool.
But it's I don't know. We just picked up a big elevator expansion up in Forest River, and we're super excited for that. And we originally built that one, so that one's kind of cool to go back to that, 10 years later. And
no, for sure.
But yeah, you're kind of starting to see that. And then as our business is kind of growing, I would say it was probably 3 years ago, and I called Jamie and I was like, I'm actually starting to feel like some of these people, because you worry about somebody using somebody else or whatever, you know what I mean? That's the whole way, right?
Yeah,
it's like
competition.
Yep, you're loyal to them, and it's like, well, then you're going to get a knife in your back, and like you worry about those things as a business owner because that's how you pay your bills, right? But after about 7 years of business and us putting a lot of value in ourselves and our guys, we did, and we have for the last few years. You start feeling like these places aren't going to operate very well without you being there. You know what I mean? Whether that's farms or whether that's working with other contractors or whatever, like you have a relationship that people are comfortable with, and it's not superficial either. You know what I mean? It's like my biggest thing is to just be a good human.
Yeah.
And the rest will follow.
Gotcha.
And
I like
I
that.
think that's I don't know. There definitely needs to be more of that in society. I'm not saying I'm perfect or do everything right, but
no, we are perfect.
Yeah, we're perfect.
I watch him on his Snapchat stories. That's if you're gonna follow Travis, follow him on Snapchat, and you'll get a taste of.
There's a lot of
the 19 personalities.
You're missing a lot.
My wife before this was she's like, you know what, we should probably have Shannon and Travis both on the podcast, and then maybe have some drinks. I was like, I'm not sure where that one would go.
Yeah.
And it can go in multiple directions.
Shannon turns into a different person. She drinks twice a year probably, and
yeah,
things get out of hand.
I'd say we'll have Jen record that and then like hit or miss if we post it all.
Yeah.
Maybe to make some good reels probably, but I don't know if we want to post the whole thing.
Good chance of that. I don't know that she'll be all right with that, but we'll just have to get her there.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be super interesting. Well, I got 2 questions for you.
What do you got?
And I think it'll extend on where we were talking, and but I like to know, and in 5 years, where do you if you close your eyes, envision yourself somewhere, where would you envision yourself maybe personally and in business? And this is more or less to help the entrepreneur and to help others think how you're thinking. Are you a big thinker, or are you?
I would think,
where would you like it to be?
We've kind of branched out in some other things with, steel sales and stuff like that. We started Strategic Solutions a year ago and a couple years ago, and, we sell some stuff kind of through there and sales stuff. I can't really tell you what the future holds on like the extracurriculars, the fluff side of things. You know what I mean? I just want to keep working on it and dabbling in it and see if any of it sticks to the wall. I'm super excited for that stuff just because it's a change of pace, right? Like it's a different scenery.
Yeah.
It's a different,
I
wouldn't, I'd like to buy a few more investment properties in the next, couple years, whether that's me and Jamie or me and Shannon, I don't know. We're,
whoop, whoop.
Yeah, we're fastly approaching getting some pretty good sized bills paid off, at our household. So it's like, well, that'll clear up some capital here, and that should be. I'm looking forward to that. But I don't know, man. It's funny because I'm at this like crossroad. Like, there's a part of me that wants to like keep running and gunning and going, and then there's a part of me and it's the kids. Like that's what it is. It's like I gotta relax here. Like I've missed a lot, and not. I'm home every night, and I'm, but I'm distracted. You know what I mean? So I need to make, in the next 5 years, I have to make a conscious effort to be there.
Be home.
And not just home, but like when I'm home, be home.
Oh, sure. Present.
You know what I mean? Like, and it's tough. Like we were talking with shutting the phones off and whatever, but it's like, you know, when your kid just wants to put Legos together with you, or your 12-year-old just wants to talk to you about her day, or, you know, your 20-year-old wants to talk to you about her girl drama problems in the dorm, or, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. Or you're, you know, last night 𝗨𝗍𝗍 is just staring out the window and I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
She's like, I just kind of want to go on a golf cart ride. I was like, well, let's go.
Last night?
Yeah. Yeah. So we went for a golf cart.
I mean, it's 41 degrees.
It was a short golf cart ride.
I was going to say, I went for a walk.
Yeah. Yeah. But that, you know, that's what we did.
Yeah. That's so awesome though.
It's, you know, and on the backside of that, I mean, I have to, with 5 kids and Shannon having her own business, like we'll get together for lunch every now and then. But I mean, we have to make it a point to start dating again. Mm-hmm. We have to, you know, and we,
it's a good way to put it.
We're going to start probably doing more vacations as much as we possibly can. And I think my whole life and being a kid that didn't have anything, my goals and aspirations were always materialistic.
Oh.
Always.
Gotcha.
And man, I don't know if it's a midlife crisis or what it is, but I don't really need anything. I don't really want to buy anything. It's almost exhausting to go shopping for anything. And it's like,
from the guy, you got like 14 driveways that you can fill.
I know, it's awesome. It is awesome.
It is awesome.
You know, and some of it is being thankful where you're at.
Yeah.
Right? And what I've been allowed to do with, you know, I've been lucky, man. We bought a super big, nice house when we were 20 years old. Like, it was a bank foreclosure, got it for $150,000. You know, it's a 5,000 square foot house built in the 90s. It's like,
it's awesome.
We lucked out. You
Yeah.
know, not a lot of people have that opportunity, but that expense and that purchase has allowed us to do so many things. It's allowed, you know, it to be no problem on the financing end for Shannon's business and things like that. Like,
sure.
It's, you know, it's opened up a ton of avenues for us just having equity. And I tell my kids this all the time. We didn't have nice vehicles.
Right.
Like, we drove shit cars and had a mortgage.
Yeah.
But that's the trick. Get a mortgage as fast as possible.
It's delayed gratification, and I wouldn't necessarily tell you it has to be a mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
It could be, but you're gained equity in something.
Absolutely.
And instead of, when you gain equity in something, you don't get a quick return on it. But it compounds and it compounds and it compounds. No different than your business, no different than your house did.
And it's tough, right? Like in the society we live in, the world loves depreciating assets.
Liabilities.
Love it.
Yeah, I know.
Love it.
Instant gratification.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Take a Beamer.
And the faster you come to that realization, even in business, you know, we talk about that all the time. The value of our company, the blue sky, is me and Jamie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Our business doesn't run itself. And that's an issue. I don't know that it ever will. And everything, you know, it's like, well,
you have 5 years, you told yourself.
Yeah, yeah. Well, but it's like, you know, you got $1 million worth of equipment sitting at the shop, and it's like, or 500,000 or 700,000 or whatever it's valued at now, but it's like everything you purchase is just a depreciating asset. You know what I mean?
So just a tool to get the job done.
And it's I don't know. It's that's kind of a mind fart there, because it's tough. It's you look at all your hard work just like being rotted, beat down machine.
Yeah,
it's like, awesome that we paid $150,000 for that thing.
I don't think it. Yeah, hopefully you wrote it off, and I know you did.
Well, yeah, for sure. But I mean, it's just like, you know, I don't know. It's my goal for the next 5 years for sure is, I mean, to travel more, to be the dad that my kids, you know, need and want, and you know what I mean. It's that's a huge priority. But then also, I think we're kind of kicking into overdrive. Is, you know, we got some really good talent, young guys that, I don't know. I mean, we're trying to build this like family, right, at our office that we've never had before. Because if you're gonna keep like employees, it better be inclusive.
Oh yeah, culture. It's driven.
Where we're at,
it has to be driven that way.
Yep.
Oh, they'll leave. They can get the same opportunity wherever.
Yep. So I mean, it's I don't know. I hope that with some of these changes in the world and things like that, I think I'm hoping that we can find some guys that stick, that want to do this stuff long term. That's always been a problem though in the electrical trade.
Yeah.
Always. I always used to look at the big plumbing shop compared to the big electrical shop that I used to work for, and it's like we would have 50 new guys a year. You know? And they had the same old boys putting pipe in, you know, and it's like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like how, like why?
Yeah.
So, and I think that, you know, electricians, they're taught to think on their feet a little more. So they're a little more confident elsewhere too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we're involved in every aspect of the project where a plumber isn't, a HVAC guy isn't, a framer isn't, you know, we have to deal with every trade.
Got it.
You know, plumber comes in and puts in a bunch of equipment and, you know, I mean, take a gas station, for instance. Well, we have to hook up all the coolers. We have to hook up all the air conditioners. We have to hook up all the furnaces. We have to hook up all the boilers. We have to hook up all the kitchen equipment, hook up all the gas pumps. We have to hook up all the lights in the canopy. We have to wire the building.
Sounds like good job security.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It is. But it's like, at the end of it, it's like, wow, we did everything on that job. You know what I mean? And it's like, that's a confidence booster.
Right.
You know? And
electric cars. I mean, you name it.
For sure. For sure.
I got one last question for you, and and then I'll let you go. But what does unfollow the herd mean to you?
Man, I think it's something that I've been doing my whole life, honestly. I mean, I've always had really good examples in my life of what not to do, whether that be parenting. You know, I think, you know, as a kid, I longed for, you know, what would so-and-so do, or, you know what I mean? How would somebody else react to this? But I would say come around puberty time, it was like, man, I'm not going through what that guy had to go through. Like, I'm not doing that mistake that, you know what I mean? He's that kind of, and I do think that's what it is. I mean, we're so different than most people in our community. You know, I mean, it's pretty funny because Thompson can be a pretty, you know, it's getting pretty hoity-toity there. You know what I mean? And not all of it. There's a ton of good people there, but it can be pretty hoity-toity at times. And it's like, we got 5 kids jumping snowbanks in their bikes, and you know what I mean? And
watch the train wreck come through.
Yeah, and I love every minute of it.
Yeah.
The chaos of it. I mean, and that's just the kid factor. Also on the company side, we don't do electrical work like anybody else.
Yeah.
We don't. We're super involved in the day-to-day. You know, whether that be grain handling or whether that be fertilizer stuff, like there's that. I keep touching on those things because that's what I'm dealing with right now.
Yeah.
But nobody's doing that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, you call another company in town, they don't have a lot of guys that do motor controls. They don't have a lot of guys that, you know, work on that stuff. And that's the easy stuff. That's the easy on your body stuff. So that's what I'm trying to like teach these young guys. Like, okay, we need to incentivize this. We need to charge more for this service. And we've had these conversations with our customers, and they're like, I don't know why you haven't been. So, you know, you know, right now where we're at, there's probably 300 to 500 hours a year. Of that, right? For the whole company, right?
Yep.
We go on a 10-hour service call, and 3 of it is, you know, motor controls and really thinking with a mindset brain of that. Well, we're not going to charge them the whole 10 hours of, you know,
right.
We charge them the 3 hours at that higher rate, but then we're also going to pay the guys more,
right,
for learning. You know what I mean?
It's a good niche.
I mean, it's
demand.
And it's complicated and it's tough, but it's I don't know. I mean, we don't say no, and that's definitely our niche too, which sometimes that bites us a little bit. But you know, we're not. I don't know. Things are changing, and I think it's in a good way. Change is not always comfortable and great, but
change.
I don't know. I feel good about this year better than I felt in the past recent years for sure, and I think it's just because it's changing, and I'm okay with the change.
Right.
I'm okay with the demographic of employees, and I do. I like working on employees. I know that sounds weird and strange, but like I want guys to like be good for them,
right?
You know, and that's not just the new ones either. You know what I mean? Like I want the old boys to do cool stuff too. You know, like so. I know one of my service guys, Chris. He used to actually be my boss. And he always tells me all the time, well, I'll just go retire. And I just tell him, well, I'll just drop the van back off your house. He's like, yeah, you would, wouldn't you?
Yeah, of course.
But I mean, it's just, that's kind of the world we live in. And I don't know. I don't think we've ever followed the herd at our house. And you know that.
Yeah. So if you guys want to follow Travis, where would we follow you? Snapchat is a lot of fun to watch.
Snapchat's good. I don't even know my Snapchat handle.
I get my laughs in for the day.
I'll get it.
We'll get some handles and links below for Trav.
Yeah.
I know you spend probably the most amount of time on there.
Yeah.
Of your daily life.
Yeah.
The electrical stuff is.
I started doing some TikTok stuff.
Okay.
Because Lexi told me I can't do TikTok stuff.
Oh, motivator.
Yeah. She said I'm not cool enough to be on TikTok. So now I have 2 viral videos and she doesn't have any. So
there you go. You are a viral video.
I am.
You're like
walking.
The whole family's a living viral video.
Living viral video. So it's pretty funny because I like to bring that up. What is she? She came home for Easter and she had a sleepover in the back garage with her friends. I was like, are they coming over to like film TikToks? And she's like, oh my God, stop talking about your TikToks.
Thanks, Lexi. I'm glad you pushed him to the telling him he can't do it.
Yep.
So make sure you follow Travis. If you are looking for an electrical opportunity and maybe you want to get in the technical wiring and the controls aspect of it, I know it's going to be a higher paying career than just being a normal electrician.
Mm-hmm.
The riches are always in the niches, and maybe Travis will learn to say no to the other stuff and start taking on more control work. But if that is some of your passion and you want an opportunity in an upcoming company, I worked with Dietzler for 9 years. I know Travis and Jamie very well. Always been a really good company for us to work with. Always enjoyed the time with your guys
for all that.
Yeah. And so if you are looking for a career, don't hesitate but to reach out to this guy. A ball of knowledge in the space. He wants the most for you as well, which is obviously driven in their culture. So, guys, I think we're going to wrap this one up. Trav, I thank you so much.
Okay, buddy. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Appreciate you, brother.
Have a good weekend.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Thank you. See you guys.